Hi there. This is Norman. I thought I would release this talk that I gave very recently to my old high school, which is Kolej Tuanku Ja'afar we call it KTJ, based in KL. I was there from 2008, joining Form 4, and I left at like semester 1, semester 2 of lower 6 in 2011. And it is a boarding school, and I was with one of the houses. I was in Natsa Rudin, or we call it Natsa, which is this one of the guys' houses in front of the main road opposite of our arrival house, which is Imran. So you'll hear a lot of like inside jokes specifically in the school. But I wanted to release this talk because I feel like there's a universal element to it, since it was about curating yourself. Since you have, everybody has a certain weirdness, a certain part of themselves that is very quirky, very strange, but that makes them all the more attractive. But if you want to create an experience for people to gravitate towards you because of how much of a unique individual you are, these are some of the things that you can probably consider in this talk. So I wanted to share that. In this talk, I talk about my life, pretty much, like where I studied, and what I did to express myself, chasing after pursuits, curiosities, hobbies, whatever, and how that resulted in me becoming the current podcast librarian, which is a pretty sick title, by the way. And that helped started a career for me to bring me up to this point where I'm the current podcast librarian, which is amazing because my weirdness is an advantage for me to arrive at this point. So where I am right now, I'm, blessed to be able to provide or get this opportunity rather from all the kinds of people that I have attracted via my weirdness. And I thought I could share that kind of inspirational narrative with the high school students in my old school. So sit back, it's going to be a long one, and I hope you enjoy the talk. I am the world's second and current podcast librarian. So what that means is that I am in charge of organizing, documenting, and finding out every single living show / podcast on the web. That is around 4.5 million shows. Spotify would say 5.2, but actually 4.5 million is the correct number because there's like 700,000 shows that are actually spam, crap, inappropriate, not a show, whatever. I have to figure out who made them, I have to figure out where they come from, I have to figure out if they're updated, I have to figure out who actually contributed to that show. So that's my role as a librarian. I'm a podcaster with 6 shows, so you don't normally see my face, but I talk a lot behind my. So in the podcasting space, people will know my voice more than my face or whatever I do. And on the side, I write a lot. For one of the shows, I do short story fiction. That was actually my first show, where I would narrate, create stories, something like, Winnie the Pooh, that sort of thing, but for more adult themes, not like inappropriate themes. But like philosophical, serious, deep thinking, sci-fi, etc. This is PG. It could be formal, it could be PG. Narrating as well, and other hobbies include other forms of expression like dancing. So we'll probably go through that in a bit. Now, you've heard a very formal intro. I like to show that online because that's on purpose, that's intentional. But if you know me, I like to call myself being professionally informal, right? I would swear a lot, I would make jokes, I'd take jabs at Imran because I was like rivaling them. We'd be playing like Modern Warfare over the balcony across the road and we just talk crap until Mr. Stores would come in and be like, hey! Yeah. Or someone would talk trash from across the road and then we start doing a shuffle battle. Someone brought like speakers. Yeah, we start like shuffling stuff. That was a famous incident, and it got shut down because we blocked the car from coming. It was like, I think it's the Proctor, I think it was Mr. Schwartz's Lotus or something. Anyway, I'm very informal, and that's on purpose. You might think that as you enter uni, as you're figuring out your career, etc., you might think, okay, I have to be more proper, formal, I have to wear a suit, I have to act like I'm in a suit. No, in the modern age, you don't really have to do that. And I'm a living example, and I will show you a timeline of how I arrived at that point. So as to provide you some. So yeah, the first step, I call this
talk, Curating You, but there's 3 main steps. One is experiencing yourself, second is creating yourself, and the third is curating yourself. And I guess we'll take a look back at how I decided to experience my own life. So, this is me in Form 4 in 2008-2009 in NATSA, right? So, look at this nerd here, right? Not talking to people, right? I would have crushes on girls, I wouldn't even want to talk to them. I'd be like, oh, they would freak out. There was this girl like in a different year I would like, and I'd be like, we would move across each other, but that's me, okay? Socially awkward kid. But because we're in the best house in school, we would have a lot of conditions, creatives, etc. So, whilst I was kind of a very, very awkward person during the day, within the comfort of my friends, etc., we'd be doing a lot of like music, making covers. This was a picture taken after we did a cover of Message in a Bottle by the Police, and I was a guitarist there. And I thought I looked cool by wearing all white, but it turns out it was a freaking, anyway, edgelord, let's just put it like that. And this was in Form 4, this was in Form 5. So, funny story about this, I attended, this was prom, and that's me in the middle. And I played 2 songs. One, this is the first normal song, and then the second one was, I was with, there was someone that I liked, and then we fought. And then she sent me like a text message. She was angry, and then I wrote a song called Unforgivable, and I played that song. But she didn't hear it. So I had to wait for you guys to do it. So she didn't hear it, but it was a failure and a success because I could actually, push myself to actually make something like that, right? I will not be singing the song for you, but just letting you know that this is a very, very heavy night for me, but it was captured in this song. And to encompass all my energy that I went from awkward to maybe more creative, this is a picture of the Natsa house photo in Form 4. Now, here's a game. Try and find me. What?
The box.
The guy next to the blue mouse.
The guy next to the no.
No.
The box.
Were you in the box?
No.
Okay.
The picture in the box.
No.
Top left. Top left.
I'm not in the middle.
Top left.
No. Do you want to know the answer?
The guy next to the black shirt.
In the photo.
The guy next no.
You're not in the photo.
You're not in the photo.
No, I'm in the photo. I'm in the photo. The guy.
The camera guy.
What? No, the big.
The Batman.
The guy wearing the third black. You were at the guy.
We're pointing. Which one?
Useless value.
Sir.
Left, this one? That's the housemaster of it.
Whoa, he looks so serious.
So the answer is it. No. I was holding a belt. I was wearing a belt around my neck. Yeah. So, some stories. Let's see. This guy became a independent musician, boxing trainer, stuntman, and content creator based in KL. But funny story is that he was mute when he joined the school, and he became the best pianist in school. And he found his voice back after he left KDJ because he got more confident. And it turns out that having your voice untouched after so long makes your voice really, really good. So he became a really good singer. You guys mentioned the box. This is my best friend I've known since 5 years old. He's now a doctor in KL. Working at a Japanese clinic, so he's learning Japanese at the same time. And that's his older brother, and then that's their brother as well. So they're both fine, they're both artists, and now he's a designer. Let's see, who else?
Person at like the very front.
Very front.
In the suitcase?
The suitcase? Oh, him. He is 1 year my junior, and from Penang. I don't know what's. I don't know. I've lost contact with him, but he's a really, really funny guy. He's also one of the fastest runners in Natsa. So he was like always in the front of all the sports teams for Natsa. Don't worry, he was wearing something. He was just pretending to be naked. Anyway, we'll leave it there. But suffice to say that Natsa. It's just that, right? And one of the things that actually was related to you showing the house drama was that people started doing like movies in there. And so we made a horror movie called The Tella. I'm not going to show you the actual video. I'm going to show some screen caps. So this is the intro. The intro in the beginning, yeah, I'm gonna stand here. The intro in the beginning. This is the intro where there's a cursed Nutella bottle. And this is, I don't know if you can see the screen cap, but this is actually not cute. Right? It's not cute. At night, so we skipped prep time, don't tell the teachers there. We skipped prep time to run out to record videos. And then we had 12 hours to edit the video to hand it in for deadline. This is, you can see a like red stained blood thing. You saw us like trying to find the stain of blood there. So there's a scene where a guy would die by getting bitten, and off camera someone would pour red blood, so it looks like the blood's coming out of their neck. And I was trying to find this because this was an Easter egg. This stain wasn't gone for 5-6 years, but after the house did a like, huge overhaul, we can't find it. And this is this guy. But he was heavily into visual K, J-rock, anime, etc. And so he had like cosplay tricks and contacts, etc. So he was the Nutella demon. And to give you a summary of Nutella demon, the story is this. There was a cursed Nutella. People are trying to run away from this demon that was covered next to it, and they were trying to find it. If they could find the bottle, then they'll be safe. But then it turns out that the demon was everywhere. But the reason why the movie was like that is because there was someone who was a senior in upper 6 that had a Nutella bottle, and there was someone in my year that wanted to borrow it, and he said, "No, I don't want to lend you my Nutella." And then they started fighting, and he punched it, and he got stitches in the leg for Nutella. For Nutella, it was the most petty thing. So out of spite, the whole house made a video to make fun of me. And we won. Okay, so we won, right, by making this. Anyway, so it's crazy whenever we can find it. So the lesson here is when you're in a place like KJ or in your circle group or in a community where you can just really vibe with everybody in terms of commonalities, interests, etc. Everything that you do in that context is practice for who you are and who you want, which is really, really important. When you try to test things for yourself, sometimes you might feel a bit, let's just say, unsure. Maybe you might be interested in writing a story. Maybe you might be interested in starting a show. Maybe you might be interested in acting or theater. But no one's ever seen you do that. And so you start to question yourself, hey, can I try to do this on my own? And it's very hard to do so solo or alone. You want the collective help of everyone around you to push you forward. So the first thing you should do is to be weird and find other people who are just as weird as you. To practice small. Even if it's, you're gonna be an actor, even a 1-minute video of like you doing something dumb inside the house. You don't have to publish it, but if you recorded it, you made it, boom, that's step 1. And the next goal is, do 100 of that. By the time you finish doing 100 of that, you'll be way better than who you were 100 videos ago, or 100 episodes, or 100 blog posts, or 100 stories, or 100 dances. So this is something to keep in mind as your experience comes up. So after KDJ, like I mentioned, I left after 2011. I went to Australia, I went to Sydney. So as you can tell, I tend to code switch when I can meet another Australian person, as you going? How's it going? Right? There are some things I can say here, but obviously not appropriate for KDJ. So let's just leave it at that. You can ask me after. So during this time in KDJ, I started getting really obsessed with K-pop. So I started learning how to dance, and I joined cover dance groups. I ended up becoming the president of the Uni's K-pop Society, which had over like 700 members. And I was in direct correspondence with the journalists that would bring like bands in. So I've met New East. I've met 4 Minute. I've met a couple of other people. Yeah.
Never heard of him.
Okay, it's okay, don't worry about that. Those are my generation. Yeah, you're all right. Anyway, but basically, we went from crazy in a very close context to freedom to choose a form of expression. And no one was going to stop me from doing this. I was already doing my uni degree, which was international studies, international business and Japanese. But I still wanted to dance. I didn't have a dance teacher. I just mirrored the YouTube video, and I just moved like this. Like, that's all I did. Right? That's all I did. And eventually I started teaching, and then I started joining teams, etc. And that solidified my interest in dance, or in articulation or expression. After this, part of this degree involves a 1-year exchange to Tokyo, or in Japan. So I was in Japan for a year. And so since I did a lot of my credits already for my degree, the only thing I could focus on was actually studying the language. So I was studying deep in the language, and I was part of the Japanese university's dance crew to perform twice with them. And as a result, I was focused more on jazz hip hop and also pop as well, which is great. And I had made a lot of friends, so a lot of crazy stories there. Having lived there and having created a new character for myself, where I can speak completely in Japanese, and yes, I'm fluent because I used to live there and I was speaking there a lot. So there's that. So at that point, there came different sides of me that I had to address. Right? There's myself who I am before, and then there's the Australian me, and then there's the unexpected right? So like that kind of inner battle, and so there's a certain crisis that was happening where how do I make sure that I don't lose sight of who I am in all of those different directions and angles. Oh yeah, also this was for a Halloween competition, and I got second and she got first, so I didn't, I'm so sad I didn't win because I worked so hard on my makeup. Yeah, so when you collect all these experiences, whatever you choose to do, whether KDJ, whether in your room, whether you're on the internet, etc., whatever you will find wonderful now will actually be material for what will be very useful for you. Even though it will be very, very weird, right? Like something that you find right now that is amazing to you, and someone might say, bro, who's doing it, right? Like, no, screw that. Doesn't matter what they say. If you like it, that's more than enough. But I honestly want you to point this to document. This is very important. You'll be, in KJ for a number of years, or however many semesters you'll have left, and studying through all these sorts of things. Take note of what you really, really like, and take note of it in 2 levels. 1, what it is, and 2, what about it that you like. So maybe someone here really likes rugby, and you love rugby, but why do you like rugby? Is it because it's a team sport, so you like the team aspect of it? Is it because of the adrenaline? You can actually get permission to be violent on the field? Because that's my reason why I like rugby. Like that's freaking okay. The best is when you get tackle at Anyway, but you start to question your interests. And when you question your interests, you find out who you are. And when you find out who you are, and the answer to that is universal, then you can apply that to anything that you want to do. There's a huge barrier there, and I would want you to keep track of that as you try and figure out what you like. It might be even what you like. Yeah, so I studied in all those places. I graduated, and I had this similar crisis, like I mentioned. many different characters, many different languages, many different cultures. I wasn't really sure where I wanted to be. I came back to Malaysia and found a job, etc. But what I wanted to do, actually, first and foremost, was that I started to write online. So I was on Quora for a while, and it was to the point where I got like 1,200 followers, which is crazy, because I did a story about when I was in Japan, and people really liked that. But what I really wanted to do was that I wanted to prove myself through writing. And that was really, really useful. To be honest, it was because when I was in Japan, one of the things that kept me like active was writing poetry. But I would keep it to myself. I wouldn't tell it to anyone. Like I said, I was practicing. After 1, after 2, after 10, after 100. And then I felt confident enough to want to post it online. So if someone writes an answer, I would give you an answer in terms of whatever the hell it is. One of the things that I wanted to do, actually, was I wanted to answer questions like tales or stories. Because the one thing that I really wanted to learn was to learn how to write fiction. So the best way is to learn by experience. And so every time someone wants to ask a question, and then you might think like, oh, maybe there's a very logical way of doing it. No, I wanted to write a fantasy about it. I wanted to write a story. I wanted to provoke you into imagining something. I wanted to be put in the same shoes as this person that's going to go through heaven and have to answer 3 questions. I wanted to put some comedy in there because I think God will laugh. Like just dumb stuff like that. But these are my imaginations, and I chose to express them to you. It's up to you how you read it. Honestly, I don't care if you do read it. I'm doing it because I want to write. So there's a distinction there. There's a distinction between you wanting to write something to please other people, and there's a distinction between you wanting to write something because you want to write something. And those are 2 different kinds of writing. People can tell whether you're writing to please someone versus you're writing authentically for yourself. Very, very important. Yeah, so I wrote a lot. Very, very dumb stuff. Very, very lovey-dovey stuff. Very, very tale-worthy fiction stuff. And and tale-worthy fiction stuff. And like I said, I wanted to be a fiction writer. And there was a short story writing competition that came out. I thought, why don't I write something for that? I wrote something for that, and then in the last minute, I failed. I didn't submit it because I was afraid of judgment, right? At first, I was writing this for free online, right? But the fact that you're going to be ranking your writing towards somebody else, I hated that. I was afraid. I was embarrassed. I was scared. I just decided not to. So I had this story. I was like, oh crap! What do I do with this story? No one's going to read it because I didn't publish it. And I like those. I thought about those environments where someone's reading like a children's storybook near a fire, and then make characters like character voices, like in the 100-acre wood. Ooh, you know, like something like that, right? It's just different characters as you're reading through something. I love that kind of feeling. And as I was thinking about that, I joined a poetry meetup in KL, and someone, instead of bringing something to read, they brought a podcast episode. So this is a show called The Memory Palace. It is a show about historical nonfiction in the US. And they played an episode called Dreamland, which was about a theme park that burned to the ground in the US. And it was like 8 minutes long. It made me cry. It made me cry so much that I played it over and over again, and I just realized like, oh wow, like audio can make me feel this way? Holy crap. And so I thought to emulate that by using that story that I didn't publish into the first episode of my first show, Tempered Feelings. So it all connects. Everything is a conversation. Stuff that you learn from the past, stuff that you trigger or react to, ends up becoming material for something that you think, oh, you know what if I just make a blog about this or make a show about that? It all can connect. You just need to give it a reason to justify connecting. And I did. I pretended I was a narrator. I invented a new character, and then I gave myself an alter ego, NT Clover, which follows my initials. And from there, I wrote short story after short story, inventing new characters up until like 30, 40 episodes. One show became 2, became 3, became 6. So now we have 2 shows of narrative. So they have sound design, sound effects, music, etc. 3 shows that are interview, where I interview people from depending on the show, and like a blog, like audio blog, where I just talk about whatever, just talking to myself. And as a result, I built something called the body of work. I didn't make a resume. I didn't prove to anyone, podcaster, hire me, whatever. No, I just want to build something that has my name on it. And this is me, right? Like, if I wasn't here, and you look at this, it's like, oh, that's perfect. Like, all this is not. And if people came from different angles, they would know, like, if some people listen to me through Handful, some people listen to me through Colonization or whatever, they will all overlap and be like, oh, you're talking about the same person. Oh, that's the same guy. And the complexity of that, the ability to feel like you can be in many different places at the same time, actually is very valuable for someone to figure out whether they would like to hire you, work with you, help you out, introduce you to someone who can help you, or give you opportunity. And opportunity is what a body of work can provide. So this is what I mean by creating you, right? Normally, when you have something like a resume, you're handing this thing over to someone. This paper is supposed to summarize. How do you summarize a human being on paper? You don't. How do you summarize me? 40 episodes, 5 episodes, 35 episodes or something like that, 35 episodes, 40 episodes. I'm the product of about what, 180, 190, 200 total episode contributions. You can't put me on paper. And when someone becomes so big in their body of work that you can't put them on paper, you just trust that they know how to do the work. And all this, because I felt like being an idiot on quota. All this because I cried in a poetry page. And all this because I felt like pretending to be Winnie the Pooh, or pretending to be like David Attenborough. I'm just freaking weird. That's it. That was just my excuse. I'm just like, damn, this is cool. I want to do more. So yes, as a result, you choose all these interests, and you might think like, oh, okay, how do I know this is very useful? You might think like, oh, I might like writing about this, but will that help me, etc. And this is when curating you would come along, because curating is when you're filtering out not what you like, but who you want to talk to would know about. So if we go back to this, let's just say that this is the most inappropriate show for Katie. So obviously I don't want to show this to you. So a good way for me to just not put that on the slide, right? Or a good way would be like, I'll just pick one show, right? And it'll be like, oh, I know all about Asian podcasting because this is a show about Asian podcasting. So filtering is one good way to do that. I am curating an experience so that you can know more about me without getting to know me. So as an example, this chicken here, this is the cutesy logo that I asked a friend, I commissioned a friend to make a logo for, about a mascot that would represent podcasting in Asia, and he made a chicken. My requirements were headphones and chicken. That's it. It was because someone was using the chicken like WhatsApp like emoji, and I was like, that's cute. Can you make a logo out of it? And he made that. That's the story. That's the story of the chicken. Okay. His name is Podrick. Okay. So, as an example, in the beginning of my career in podcasting, this was the most prominent show. So people started knowing me curatively as the Asian podcasting guy. And as a result, I started doing keynotes in different places, and I started doing talks all over the place. Until I became the Podcast Librarian at a website called Podchaser, which is, if you know IMDb, like for movies, it's the same thing for podcasts. So here's a funny story. You can read this if you want, but I'll tell you the funny story anyway. After 6 shows, a couple of years of messing around, suddenly I got contacted by the CEO of Podcast. Okay, he DM'd me on Twitter. I'm very, you both might know this, I'm very active on Twitter. I'm talking about random things. He's very active on Twitter as well. Okay, he DM'd me, and I'm okay with that because he was a guest on Polymerization. So we already had a relationship. We already had a connection. Okay? He was one of the chickens. Okay, so how cool. Right? And this is another advantage. When you have a blog, when you have a show, when you have a video, your brand is a professional excuse to talk to people. Right? Your body of work is an excuse. Right? I'm just like, yo bro, I got this show. Like, you wanna be an interview, you wanna be a guest, right? Like, I wanna help you out, I wanna make you look cool. Like that was this basically this show. Okay? So he was a guest on that show, and he reached out and he was like, hey, how you doing? Whatever. This was last year. Hey, how you doing? Whatever. How's work and how's your money problem, like money finances and stuff like that? And I was like, not doing so good, etc. because of COVID. And then he said, do you want to be a podcast librarian or a podcaster? I'm like, what the hell is a podcast librarian? And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, why are you asking me to be a podcast librarian if you don't know what's a podcast librarian? We spent 30 minutes trying to like define it. And it turns out that there was somebody else, like I said, too, right? There was somebody else who had that title, and then she stopped. And so he was like, can I offer you a job to be a podcast librarian? And it will be up to you to define it as you work with us. The week after I met with the other co-founders, the week after I met with the operations manager, and I got an offer letter for me to start in January of this year. They made a job for this guy. They invented a job to bring this guy into their company. So I was like this in public. I wasn't just like, right? No, people knew that I did all 6 shows. And that's a huge distinction. I embraced how crazy and weird I was publicly. And he made a job, which I'm really thankful for. And it turns out that because he made a job for me, and I was like, am I going to be okay? Am I going to be too eccentric or whatever? No, it's just him. Everybody else in the company was just as weird as me. Just recently, we were sharing our like high school photos, and one guy who was like the sweetest guy ever. It's like a big teddy bear looking guy. He shared this photo, and he had like leather jacket, mohawk, anarchy posters, electric guitar. The guy was like sick looking. So like honestly, that's a freaking vibe that I just want to have. But obviously, we can't handle the mohawk scene. Anyway, that was a bit too much. The secret is this. Whatever you're doing, whatever weird thing you're doing, whatever you're expressing, if you want it to be useful, make sure that it aligns with the kind of conversations you want. If I want to be a writer that focuses on fantasy, I should be in conversations with other people who talk about fantasy, right? If I want to be talking about podcasting, I want to be talking to people who make podcasts. If I want to make, I don't know, like, I was going to say something really inappropriate there, but you shouldn't, but Mr. Disney just left, so it's okay. I was going to say, like, I don't know, a sex toys company or something, but like, there's a few in Singapore, so they're actually getting more. You would be wanting to talk about that, and expand upon that with different, with different other people who are talking about that thing. But you have to be weird to stand out, and you have to be a beacon. What a beacon means is, if I know that someone here likes to talk about a specific topic, and in the case that I do want to talk about the topic, my first action should be, I should come up to you to talk about it. That's being a beacon, right? If you look around here, someone in here should be the most like expert or most passionate about one specific thing. It could be, I don't know, sports, it could be football, it could be like Twitch streaming, or it could be esports or something, right? I don't know, it could be whatever. But when you think of a topic and you think of a name, that name will probably be the beacon. That's what I mean. And your goal is to be like, and it doesn't matter how you do it, but you have to do it holistically, as in you're doing it all the time. And so this is a very active way of doing it, which is very exhausting. But the other way is to light up other beacons. So what if you're a little bit introverted? and you don't like having to spend money. But you follow somebody else who is really, really good at it. So you contribute to them via adding to their comments, emailing them saying thank you, sending edits, whatever, talk about their stuff, like on the side. That's one of the ways where you can light up other beacons. And here's the thing, there are really good other beacon lighters in the world. They're not the best at any topic, but they are known connectors, like really, really good connectors. You go up to them and then you're like, hey, I want to talk to someone about like YouTubing or something. It's like, where? Based in Myanmar. Like, okay, I know a guy. I'll send you an email, introduce you. Done. They're friends with 20,000 people and they know exactly who they want you to know. Right? That's lighting up other beacons. You're giving opportunity to other people. That's your event. I think I talked too much about myself by this point. There was a lot, so I would rather focus this on everybody here. Curating yourself is the product of experiencing many different things, doing dumb stuff, okay, cool. Yeah, just doing dumb shit, just doing crazy shit, right? Like just making all this like, you're looking at that like this, okay. Sorry, that freaked me out a little bit, okay, sorry. Like just doing dumb shit and figuring out if you like this or not, and you just keep going, if it's fun, whatever, then add structure to that. Do I want to make this more formal? Do I just want to keep this as a hobby? Do I want to pursue this 100%, 50%, 0, like 25%? There is no right or wrong answer, but there are pros and cons that you have to gauge. And so first you have to ask yourself, what do you like privately, publicly, and proudly? There are some things that may apply to all three. There are some things where you only like it privately. Maybe there's like someone in Naza who is like totally a Chad, loves rugby, whatever, but then he loves like romance isekai manhwas or something. Right? Okay? Like privately. Okay? So would they talk about it, right? Would they make a review site, maybe under like a different alternate name, where they're like, oh, you know, like, what's the recent one? Like, recent one that I read. I feel like Villainous Loves to Love Again or some shit like that. Anyway, so like there's a few, I read a lot, so it's fine. So like what if they do that under an anonymous name, right? So they would try to do that to someone else. So you have to be very careful about what kind of conversations do they want. Do they want those conversations to involve their in real life persona? Do they want to involve an alternative persona? Because I've seen some people very successful on an anonymous account. It's just a little bit harder because people would trust the face more than a cartoon profile picture or an NFT or something. Right? So, that being said, whether it's privately or publicly is one thing, but proudly is the big one. Because this is your biggest motivator. No one's going to tell you to keep liking or reading manga. No one's going to tell you to keep like playing sports. You have to like enjoy the suffering of playing, right? You guys play rugby?
Yeah.
Rugby? Okay. So, do you enjoy losing?
No.
No, right? Okay, so would it stop you from playing again?
No.
Yeah, why? Yeah, exactly. Right? Out of spite, you want to stop losing, right? You want to just not lose anymore. It sucks to lose.
Are you encouraging us to do it out of spite?
That's one of the reasons. Yeah, that's one of the reasons. You can be. No, I encourage people to be a lot more chaotic. So it's fine. But the thing is, proudly is the biggest one, right? I'm proud to like write. Writing sucks, right? It's not fun. You sit down and you're like, I want to write a story, blah blah blah, and then your paper is empty. Like, you try, right? You sit down and you just bleed, and you suffer, and then hopefully some sense will come up with it. But you still do it. You still try. So this is something that you really have to consider. You keep that in a list, and then you check regularly, does that still stand for all these years? And the other thing is what you consume regularly. Okay. Probably. So there's a difference between someone who, and I'll give you a great example of this, there's a difference between someone who says like, I want to be a writer, I want to be like J.K. Rowling, I want to write the next fiction story, right? And then you try to believe in their goal, but then you see them and they're just like on TikTok for 7 hours a day. So, what they like is conflicting with what they say. So you should audit it. If you really like something, it should not affect what you consume should not affect it, right? Someone could just be an amazing rugby person and etc., and they still love romance novels, right? It's not going to stop them from making the website and making the reviews for 10,000 and so on. Yeah. So in a nutshell, this whole talk was just to bring this up. Okay. How weird you are, control or curious, equals to what extent will you obsess over the thing you like over how well you know yourself. Okay? There's a difference if someone is like really obsessed with something at the top there, but then if they don't recognize their individuality, then they're just following a trend. And I will give you a reason why this is a very bad thing. If you're just following a trend, what is stopping me from choosing somebody else over you?
The actual drive to follow someone else.
It could be that. It could be something else. It could be a reason. It could be an experience. It could be a trauma. It could be something else that's a greater motivator. But what is stopping me from following after somebody else that's doing the same thing as you? And the end goal is, if that happens, why should I remember you? That's a very powerful question. And if you think about it, everything that you do is a chance to persuade someone, hey, I'm doing weird shit, you should remember this. I'm doing cool shit. I'm doing these episodes. It's a chance for you to remember. Podcasting is like that. Podcasting is the weirdest medium. In like YouTube or in blogging, whatever, you pick your favorites. In podcasting, we have to fight for other people's routines. So because we can passively be used, like consumed, etc., we have to be like really attractive, and then hopefully you might listen to us while you're on your jogging run. Hopefully you might be listening to us when you're washing the dishes. We have to wait for you to give us permission. So we have to be attractive for our individuality because there are so many shows that are quite similar. And prolific pursuit just means how much can you suffer for this. Can you write 1,000 word stories? That's a lot of stories. And I think it was Ursula K. Le Guin who said, to be a good writer, write your first 1,000,000 words so that you can be less bad. Your goal is to be less bad. Your goal is not to be a great writer, your goal is to be a less bad writer. Okay. I trust the person who wrote Earthsea, so Earthsea is my favorite. So
good.
Yeah. So obsessing over this is very important. If this number up there is like low, even if you know yourself, then you're not going to be doing enough for people to remember. You're going to be a great fiction writer, and you might write 6 short story posts of 1,000 words, so that's 6,000 words, and then after that you give up. Maybe you got busy. So let's just say that people are waiting for your story every week. So that's 6 weeks, right? So you're waiting for a story 6 weeks, and then you stop after. So how soon would it be for people to forget you? 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks after. Curating yourself is about memory. It's how well can I be memorable to you, right? And if you don't want to be forgotten, which sounds pretty heavy, sorry guys. If you don't want to be forgotten, you might as well be weird. And therefore you can create like a more unique personal definition of yourself. So honestly, if you combine these two, what you really like, how strange you are, with obsessing over that strangeness, someone will remember you because you're weird. You laugh, but it's true. So, I'm going to make you look at this. How do you define it? You can't, right? It's weird. I'm a podcaster? No, I could have done this all in writing. Right? This is me talking about Asian podcasting. This is me talking about inventing characters. This is me talking about like memories that I have throughout my life in written narrative story form. This is about note-taking, which is such a nerdy thing. And this is me basically building like a personal textbook of the world. To like define words that really define my perspective. And this is me just talking to myself because I'm crazy. Right? So how do you define me? I'm undefined. And because I'm undefined, you can only remember me in many different ways. I'm just one, that's all. I'm the podcast librarian. I'm a podcaster. I know about Asian podcasting, but that's just one of more definitions that I'm collecting myself. If you do want to start something like this, there's probably going to be a few, shall we say, thoughts that are stopping you. Like, oh, what if people will judge me for trying something? Or, I'm not good enough. I need to learn more about writing before I write a story. Or, I want to be an actor, but I still haven't learned taking acting lessons. But honestly, I'll give you a very, very big secret that has kept me alive for doing all this random crap here. The world will forgive you for whatever. Honestly, like, they will really forgive. They're like, you're not gonna release something and then they're not gonna like witch hunt you in your house. No, they will really forgive you for what you do. The worst is that you might have low numbers in the beginning. That's all, right? Low numbers is better than zero numbers. So therein comes the monetisation. It's all a synonym of fear. And the only way to combat fear is knowing who you are as a person. So with that being said, thank you very much.
I just wanted to ask, is it like how do podcasts work? Like, is it based on like your income because of views, or is it like because you're uploading?
Are you talking about like monetization?
No, income.
Like the money? No, not income. Okay. Yeah. I'll give you a few examples. So the basic form is ads. So people would enter into partnerships with a show where they want to ask you how many people are listening to your show per episode. And if that reaches a certain amount, and if the demographic is what they want, maybe it's like working mothers 24 to 35, just let's say random example there. Then they will enter the partnership where they say, we want you to run our ads in the pre-roll, mid-roll, post-roll for 30 seconds for this one. And when I say pre-roll, mid-roll, it just means beginning, mid-roll, in the middle, like 15 minutes, and post-roll. That's a very standard thing where they gauge your performance, and then they're like, we like the people that listen to your show. Let me throw money so you can talk about us. Like that's basically what it is. But there are ways to go around that, because sometimes, let's just say your show isn't as big, but your show is very, very particular. Like if you have a show and your show, the people who listen to your show are like, this is my favorite example. Okay, a podcast about being a good pope, right? And you'll laugh, right? And then you look at your stats and you're like, there's only one listener, but you know it's the pope, right? Okay, right? The hell wants to listen? Okay, right? Like best tactics to be a pope, right? And there's the pope coach talking about being a pope, right? Okay. But then, what if you want to advertise something to the pope, right? Because you have such a specific demographic, that would actually up the premium. So people can go up to like what, 5K, 10K, 15K on like a few episodes of talking about your episode. And it just depends on what else you can make. So sometimes you can also use those slots for making products under your company or under your show. Let's just say that you are talking about the Pope podcast, and then you're like, buy my online course of being a great Pope 101, right? And then the Pope's like, oh shit, I really want to learn how to be a good Pope. So you will talk about that. You're not advertising somebody else's stuff, you're advertising your own. And so your listener will go from the show into your product, and then that will make you money. So you are treating your show as a marketing channel. And that's one of the main things. There are other ways as well, like memberships, etc., but then it gets pretty complicated. Yeah?
Do you know what cancel culture is?
has it affected you, and what's your opinion?
Do I know what cancel culture is? Yes. Has it affected me? No. But I know some people in the podcasting space are not by cancel culture. And what do I think about it? Yeah, so in podcasting in Asia, for some reason, we have, no, actually, I know the reason, but like, we have greater levels of censorship in podcasting, which is weird, because podcasting is a very open thing. That's like saying, like, you're not allowed to make a movie of a specific thing no matter where you are. But podcasting, the tech is global. But as soon as you start talking about stuff in Asia, whatever, there's like censorship or something, or slander. Some show hosts have been canceled because they've said some things, either misogyny, either slander of public figures, threats or attacks against governmental figures, etc., stuff like that. So there have been stuff like that. In my opinion, it's a very complicated line to even address, because I understand the rationale for. I understand the rationale for why cancel culture has appeared, in that it addresses specific fundamental topics that will threaten, say, one's identity. So, those in the LGBTQ community, or those with different economic backgrounds, those in different race and more. And I understand that there are many, many different rules, regulations, and events that has resulted in the oppression of different things. But the culture, there's the act of canceling, and then there's the culture. The culture is what I have a bit of a problem with, because the sensitivity of these topics differ from person to person. So as soon as one person says, oh, cancel that person because that person said something bad about me, but then that could be misunderstood as maybe not like a racial thing, but more so that this person was just being a dick, right? All of a sudden, when people are emotionally charged on a larger scale, that leads to someone getting canceled without any rationality put into the act, which to me is a very uncomfortable. So I understand, and I really do encourage like loud voices pushing for equality and pushing for the rights of many. The thing is, I worry about the civil aspect of such, in that sometimes in doing so in a very emotional charged manner, you might actually turn off or silence those you are trying to help, because they don't want to participate in that culture, even if their identity is directly related to it. And that is something I'm worried about. So if someone is being misrepresented because somebody else said something bad about not them in particular, but the identity that they align themselves with, they will choose not to participate in that or provide any form of resource or help, because everybody mobs and someone gets lynched or something. And there's this fear, no one wants to do it. So that's something. I'll leave it at there.
Thank you.
We can totally, yeah.
You talk about having lots of different aspects of your personality within these different podcasts and online. How do you balance between do you ever find yourself feeling like that persona, maybe you speak into it more and finding yourself versus the persona you put out on the internet or other online spaces?
That's an interesting question, because that's something that I've been dealing with for a number of years until I decided to blend both. So I thought that there were strict principles in terms of showing yourself online versus offline, right? Like if I'm being an idiot in the Natsa house, and be like, yo, what up, boys? Right? Versus me being on Twitter or whatever, right? And saying the same, my reputation might be at risk, right? I'm technically a professional in this space, and I'm being like, yeah, boy, yeah, rugby for the win, whatever, dumb crap. But it turns out that after a while, that eccentric element of myself actually is quite an advantage to make myself more memorable. And I heard this the first time when I started releasing the show on the bottom right before, which is Rome FM. So Rome FM is a show that talks about note-taking about different things. And I got to meet the strangest people. Strange. They write way more than everyone. Holy crap, that's insane. They don't care about their identity, right? They just want to write. They just want to write about it. Right? And this was interesting because they do the same online. And guess what? That weirdness brought them opportunity. Your weirdness increases the surface area in which you attract luck. Right? If you're fat with luck, you'll get more food. Right? That's pretty much how it works. And so all of a sudden I'm like, oh, if they're comfortable being like that, why don't I be more comfortable being so wide range and varied and strange and weird? I'd be talking about like love prose one day, and then the next day I'd be like, oh, this food looks pretty good, like whatever, right? Or like dog videos or penguins or something. And so that's perfectly fine. The blending of that, I decided to proceed with the blending of my identities, whether offline and online, because, and this is the biggest reason why, it's more of a personal thing, I just decided to stop lying. And hiding myself from other people, like, I'm not okay. No, I don't have the energy. I would rather obsess about the cool stuff that I find than be like, actually, I'm not. No, who cares? I don't have time for that. We do not, here's one truth, we do not mature at the same rate as we age. So you will find that there are like 40-year-old children and 20-year-old adults and like 50-year-old babies. And once you start like building something online, you will meet and talk with all of them, and you'll like be like, are you seriously like older than me and acting like this? Like, oh my god. No, you don't have time to lie to yourself and act like, no, I don't care about it. So yeah. Hopefully that answered your question. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah. Oh god.
Hold on.
Yeah?
Okay, to use your term, what if your weirdness is what stops you from being like profitable or like digestible, like politics or criticism of culture and society? Like how do I approach or curate a body of work? Like there is a sense of like screw you, I don't care, but there are genuine risks with like pursuing your passions of how you approach that.
Okay. Let me break that down into two different parts. So the first one is it's like weirdness on very like critical topics or topics that may potentially like very risky, right? Like politics, right? Okay, so there's a little extra layer that I didn't talk about here, which probably in your case might be very, very important, and that is articulation. So throughout this time, I've never, not once asked you to silence your weirdness. No, not once. I've not asked you to be like, be a little bit in here. No, I'm not asking something. But what I would add here to answer your question would be to consider your words, your expressions, your semantics, and your articulation. Someone can be very vocal about, say, governance, about recent political investigations, about policies, about implementations in different regions, etc., and can still be very civil and very true. And to a reader, there's a difference between them choosing option A, someone who's just like raging on the keyboard, like, right? You know, something like that, right? Versus option B is someone who's like, hey, I come from this background and we've been suffering a lot here, but here are some papers, some like investigative pieces that we found, and we want to give a proper update on what's been happening, and I beseech you to consider these points of view. An example, great newsletter of that is called Between the Lines. That is a daily Substack covering Malaysian political news, where they cover neutral political things. I'm actually meeting the writer in Chiang Mai, so I'll be doing the talk here. Podcast monetisation. I'm doing a talk exactly about that. So yeah, I'll be going to Thailand in November. And two, how do you create a body of work that would, let's just say, that's not without sacrificing yourself and is true to yourself? It's a little bit of the similar answer to the first question. The only thing I have to worry about here is, as you're doing all these pieces, keep asking yourself, are these the outputs that you want? That's the constant question there. And we like to say, joke more about the outcomes that you want. I'll be like, you know, funny, like I like narrate like a good children's book author or something. And then there was nearly a chance for it. So like, I joke more about it. I chase after that, but what you want more in the end should be an indicator for what are the different kinds of words you should choose to define your point. And of course, I said this is a very overview, general fashion, but there are more specifics to it, and the only way for me to guide you now, if you want to find it out now, is actually for you to experiment. I can't tell you what words to choose. So start small, start private, and then slowly seep it in publicly. You see how people react. You might add a little bit more emotional charge here. You might not in the next post. You might show a video. You might show a podcast. You might show a writing here. Maybe you might even paint a painting. But you test it. Every single thing is practice. Everything that you do in a closed context is practice for the next 3 weeks. That's all it is. It's just practice.
Whenever you put out content to the world, because obviously there's a planning process behind that. How long does it usually take? And basically, what's your planning process? How do you brainstorm?
This depends on what it is. I wake up mostly at like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. To write without Wi-Fi. To just basically brain dump all the notes that come out of my head, whether it's like a dumb dream that I had, whether it's related to something, to draft for a story, fantasy novel that I want to write, to think a thought about the podcasting space. And that's for 2 hours, 3 hours. Then I look at it and I'm like, okay, drafting mode is complete. Now it's editing mode. And I would edit that down and I would fine tune it 2 passes. Once you're done with 2 passes, see if it's enough to be published online. And you will then come across a crossroads where you might go ahead to the perfectionist route and you're like, oh, let me publish this only when I'm ready, versus, oh, let's just publish this now. I immediately, without even thinking, just go ahead and publish it. So that's how I go about it. For podcast episodes, you have to plan according to the guest's availability. So you'd be researching questions like they all have, figuring out what they've done, figuring out what answers they can provide that's different from their previous experiences, and you craft a narrative as you talk. For stories, it's a little bit different. I have a workbook. It's a special book where I write skeletal outlines of how a fantasy story would go. It's just bullet point. And then I'll fill in the gaps into the bullet points. And then I'll retype that whole thing. And then I'll redo the whole thing, edit, and I'll split it into different characters' voices, and then I create those. For posts, it'll take maybe 1 week, not to write, 1 day to write, actually 3 hours, but like 1 week to think about it. And episodes for interview would be 1 week, and episodes for narration would be 2 weeks. So hopefully that's a good. Sorry, I keep missing your question. I'm so sorry.
This question might be a little more philosophical. Do you think that through existing in a marginalized community, you have any sort of moral or social responsibility to portray your own group in a certain manner and think about how other people perceive? Like, is there anything that you ever think is too far in terms of what you create?
The question sounds like there's 2 parts to it. Representing a marginalized community, it is up to you whether you uphold the duty to represent them. It's not homework. You're not going to fail at life if you don't represent them. No one's telling you, hey, like, I'll give you an example. I'm Iban. I'm from Sarawak. I'm fully Iban, right? So, like, I grew up in Miri. My long house is in Sringkai, and we moved from Sarawak to Europe. And I was in Holland for a few years. I did not come back to Malaysia until 6 years ago. Actually, after I came back from Japan, Australia. And I didn't know anything about Iban culture. So, should I represent them? I don't know. I honestly don't care about that question. And I will have you know that unlike school institutions or environments where output or goals or success is found in your report card at the end of 3 months, life does not work that way, and that you actually impose your own duties on yourself. The only reason why you think you do is because your external environment around you keeps persuading you that it is true, it is absolute. So I will give you another counterexample. An absolute truth right now is if there's a fire right here and I throw water at it, the water will put out the fire. Right? Very simple. Okay. Tomorrow, how do I know if it will happen? The same thing. We've just decided to believe it, that it's going to be happening, right? But that's philosophy of perspectives of medical science. We prove things not because we know they're right. We prove things to make them less wrong. And so the more that you think that you have an obligation to represent a specific community, the more that you think it is true, and the more that you think it is a less of a lie. Less of a lie. So in that retrospect, when you choose to represent a community, or like a culture, or subculture, etc., that is your own choice. You honestly can choose to walk away. But it is a default to represent them because maybe your family is the same, your friends are the same. It's comfortable. It is comfortable. And that feeds into your second question. How do you create something that's so unique that you don't have to have these kinds of factors come to it? I have a really, really crazy idea or exercise for you to try, and I don't know if you may be comfortable enough to do so, but I'll tell you what it is. And I think you can do this in your dorms, right? So if anyone has ever meditated here, normally it's like the sit at a corner and be like, whatever, for like an hour. Okay. No, I want you to do a different kind of meditation. I want you to sit cross-legged in front of your mirror and look at your mirror reflection. I want you to try to realize how uncomfortable it is to think about yourself by looking at yourself. And it is freaky. It is really, really freaky. And you will start to realize that out of the noise in your thoughts, you're like, oh my god, I haven't looked at my face in so long. I'm getting like so many like breakouts. Oh my god, sweating so much. Oh my god, it's just so hot. Whatever. No. The noise will get away. There will be nothing else except who you are, and you start to realize that. What the hell are you? I'm not asking you to find an answer there. I'm asking you to feel more comfortable answering that question. Because through that experience, you will start to find the constraints of a body of work that represents yourself. And once you build that, you will then know the answer to whether or not you should represent your community. Because I will let you know that out of the shows that I did there, the only time I represented any form of the Iban community was episode 1 of Temperance. I did not have a duty to represent any of my native history. I love my native history. I don't have need to show it. And no one else is going to give you permission to do that. You have to be your own student, your own teacher, your own teacher. Good luck with that. But yeah.
Do you think money should be
Do you think money should be an obstacle to not personally? Podcasting is expensive. In relation, podcasting is quite expensive. You might think that it's just like, oh, buy a microphone. Oh, hosting a show costs money. And I'm not talking ringgit, I'm talking USD. It's like 15 to 19 USD. Right? Do you have that as a student? I don't know. I mean, you guys paid to get into PJ, so I'm sure you guys have your money. So.
Some of them do.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we probably have enough money. But to answer your question, money is a barrier to prevent or be in your line of attention for pursuing money. How you choose to go around it, break through it, brush it, jump over it, or whatever is up to you. So if someone wants to be a YouTuber, and you're like, I gotta get the latest like Sony RX300 camera and whatever, and like the microphone, whatever, right? No, you don't. Get a freaking iPhone. Screw you guys. Yeah, they came with the iPhone right there. Like, let's start a YouTube channel right now. Right now. You can start it. You can start being a film director right now. Right? Let me give punishment. Okay. Do you know anybody here ever flown Malaysia Airlines? Okay, right? Okay, so do you know the what do you call that? The instructions for like, oh, please come to your seat, John. We're about to please enter. So I know the voice actress. She's a very famous professional voice actress. She told me a really funny story. One time she was about to go to bed at like 10 p.m., 10 whatever p.m. And she's like a mother of 3 kids, whatever. And suddenly someone must have messaged her WhatsApp. Hey, we need your voice for something. Can you record us something really quick? She's like about to go to sleep. She's not in the right condition because obviously she's about to go to sleep. All they asked for is for her to record a WhatsApp like voice note under the bed, under the cover, and then send it over. And it turns out the quality for that was enough for them to be used in a commercial on TV. This was like, and I'm saying like TV commercial, it's not a YouTube commercial, right? We're talking like a few thousand ringgit, like budget value stuff, right? So this lady was just like, right, whatever, right? And then send it over, and it was used. So honestly, money can be a barrier, but people have found many different ways of like guerrilla tactics that crap. Like some people record podcast episodes in their closet because there's a lot of clothing, and clothing absorbs sound. Some people do pillow forts, right? If you're in a hotel and you need to call someone and you want the best quality, take the pillows from the bedroom, take them like that. I do that. I'll do this all the time, and then record your podcasts, and they absorb sound. It's just the same thing. You are making use of resources around you to get the best quality or the lowest price. And the only time you should justify whether or not you should get maybe a proper microphone, whatever, is if the jump is so high that it's worth it. And one more answer is, if the jump is so high that it's worth it, and will you continue suffering for that fact? And yeah, hopefully that answers one question. Good luck. Oh, good. Yeah, it's 9 plus now, so I think we're. Oh, sorry. Did you want one last question? Like, was it a quick one?
You can always wrap up if you want.
Okay, I technically have two, but I'm just gonna say the more interesting one. How do you navigate the relationship between your work/art and its definition as content, and that is something that's consumable? How do you stay within your niche instead of industry trends?
How do you navigate the relationship between your work/art and
and its definition as content? Like there's this trend, like in a lot of social media. Everything is content. You have to
yeah, I know that.
video every single part of your process because that is content. That is worthy. But how do you like navigate between what is your genuine art, passion, and work, and your body of work, and something that you're willing to sell your soul over to be able to do content?
Firstly, why should you make anything that involves selling your soul? That's one. And two, to determine the difference, let's just say you have to, right? Let's just say, right? You sold out for the logo. You sign a label, you sign a contract with Sony Music Malaysia, and you're like, oh, they're gonna make me a freaking billionaire, whatever. Okay. The difference between figuring out whether what you're doing is work/art versus an obligation is, if I look at this a month later, I'm happy reminiscing. If I'm making this and I don't have any resonance, I don't have any memories, I don't have any like immediate like encounters of like, oh, it was so fun like recording this in the studio or whatever. No, you've objectified this product that you made. You have not added a humane element to it, and it's work. It is homework. It is homework. The difference between you writing an essay for English class and you wanting to write an essay in general about something that you're really passionate about, you should know the answer to this yourself. You put so much love into it, one over the other, because one is more memorable than the other. You wrote one as an obligation, you wrote one out of love. And that's it. There's nothing deeper than that. There's really nothing deeper. And actually, with that side story, I'll give you a really simple story. So, Mr. Suresh was actually my English teacher. So, oh, sweet. Oh man, you guys must suffer a lot. Anyway, so Mr. Suresh is my. So he was my English teacher, and he says he makes a lot of homework for all kinds of things, right? But I have a favorite homework for him. So I was in the highest level English class, My favorite homework. I'm not trying to show off your buddies, right? But my favorite homework here. Is you have in February you have 1 week to write an anonymous love letter and send it in as homework, right? And so we did. All of us did. And it turns out that like the people who were like the best in English in that class were like really awkward. They're like, I should have written a love letter. And then since I was like a big nerd watching anime all the time, I sort of knew all the crazy stuff. So I wrote a love letter, and it turns out that Mr. Suresh wanted to show the anonymous love letters on the projector, and then we all read it together, and you can hear all the class going like, "Oh, it's so cute! Oh my god!" Oh. Anyway, so it came to mind, and then I heard some of that, and then they really liked it, but then he was like, "Oh, well, the person who wrote this letter, please stand up." And I said, "Oh," and I stood up, and then they're like, "Oh." People were shocked that it was me. And so I got a really good grade for it. So the one thing about that story is, one, I had 20 crushes. So obviously I invented all that crap, like all this, yeah, you know. So I invented all that, like somehow express it. But two, finding chances like these to be very creative, even if it's like a homework or something, it's actually a good like testament to what you're willing to do. Because how you do anything is how you do everything. If you say you want to write and then you're like, oh, I want to be a writer or whatever, and you start going on TikTok, right? No, I would trust you as a writer. But then if you say something, you declare it, and you choose to execute on it, I will trust you a lot more and be willing to follow your work. And this is the same regardless whether you're friends, your family, and people on the industry. Oh, and one more thing. When you do begin your body of work, trust your friends, but trust your internet friends more. And the reason why is because your friends and your family and your close friends, they already have a first impression of you. They know who you were before you started this. So you're trying to fight and persuade them, and that's too much, right? If you're like, I'm gonna be like a manga author, and then you actually publish something, but then you show it to your mom, and your mom's like, oh, what? That's not you. You're like this. You're fighting against their impression. So honestly, if you want to find people you want to trust with for your body of work, go to the internet.
Don't go on Twitter. No.
Find specific parts of Twitter. That's probably the better one. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I think we're good here. So yeah, I guess we're good. Thank you so much.